Every leader I work with eventually reaches a point where they realize something important. Their business cannot continue relying on the founder, not because they plan to leave, not because anything is wrong, but because true strength in business comes from continuity, not dependency. Succession is not about stepping aside. It is about stepping up. It is about building a business that can operate confidently, predictably, and sustainably, no matter who is in the room. And the first step in building that kind of business is far simpler than many people expect. Hello, I'm Clive Innifer, business strategist, and I help people discover clarity to more effectively engage with more of their ideal client more often. And today, I want to walk you through the first step in a practical succession framework. Let's begin by considering what you want to protect. Succession begins with clarity, not about roles, not about people, not about timelines. It begins with understanding what the business must be able to do without you. Ask yourself, what are the core functions that keep the business moving? What must continue regardless of who is available? Which responsibilities are critical to the client experience? Which decisions currently rely on me? This is where you start, not with job titles, not with big structural changes, but by identifying the essential elements of the business that must stay consistent. The reality is clarity, structure, and consistency sit at the center of effective leadership. This is exactly why the first step of succession is not about replacing a person. It is about protecting capability. Once you identify the core functions that must endure, you can move into action. Next, start mapping the responsibilities, not the roles. The first actionable step in a succession framework is to map responsibilities. Most businesses make the mistake of mapping roles first, but roles change. Responsibilities remain. Here is how to complete this step effectively. 1. List the essential responsibilities. Think of the responsibilities that keep the business stable. For example, this might include client communication, sales conversations, project oversight, financial review, decision-making authority, systems management. Write them down without editing. Your goal is visibility. 2. Identify who currently holds each responsibility. Be honest and specific. If the answer is me for most of them, that is normal. It is also the clearest sign that succession planning is essential. Founder dependency does not disappear on its own. This step reveals where it exists. 3. Group responsibilities into logical categories. You are not building roles yet. You are organising functions. Categories might include leadership decisions, operations, client service, finance, marketing and communication, systems and processes. This creates structure, and structure simplifies the next steps. 4. Identify risk areas. Look for responsibilities that have no documentation. Sit with only one person. Would create disruption if delayed. Require specialised knowledge known only to you. These are your early priorities. Succession begins by reducing risk, not by replacing people. 5. Choose one responsibility to develop first. You do not need to solve everything at once. You start with one responsibility that would create the greatest stability if shared or documented. It might be onboarding, it might be quoting, it might be managing inquiries. Choose one. This is your first succession focus. Once the responsibility is clear, we move into assessing capability and planning the next steps. Assessing ensures your succession framework remains practical and aligned with your vision. Here is how to evaluate the responsibility you selected. Can someone else complete this responsibility if needed? If the answer is no, you have identified a dependency. This is where your first development work will begin. Is this responsibility documented? If the answer is no, clarity is missing. Documentation becomes your next step. Does the responsibility rely on unwritten knowledge? If so, the business is carrying risk and success relies too heavily on memory. Who could be developed to hold this responsibility? Succession is about growing capability over time. You do not need an immediate replacement. You simply need to identify potential. Will improving this responsibility strengthen the business? The answer is almost always yes, because succession planning improves systems, communication, and clarity. Evaluation highlights what needs to be developed and what needs to be strengthened. This is what turns succession planning into a leadership practice rather than a one-time task. Succession planning is not something you save for later. It is something you build while the business is healthy and growing. The first step is simple. Identify the responsibilities that must endure and begin documenting, sharing and strengthening them. Not the whole business at once, just one responsibility at a time. This approach reduces dependency, builds capability, strengthens systems, and creates stability that lasts. Succession is not about stepping aside. It is about building a business that can run confidently no matter who is in the room. Clarity creates calm, and calm leadership builds progress. Choose one essential responsibility today. Map it, review it, begin strengthening it. This is your first step in a practical succession framework.